The year is 2006. A little-known movie called Casino Royale releases and tells the story of James Bond and his attempts to stop a Russian spy by winning a game of poker. At the height of the game, the pot comes to a total of over 40 million. Against Bond, a full house hand is played. The likelihood of this hand is 0.1441% or 693 to 1 odds against. Bond beats this hand with a straight flush. The odds? 0.00139% or 72,192 to 1 odds against. The odds of Hakari hitting a jackpot is 1 in 239. So what are the chances of the Disaster Curses beating Kinji Hakari? Well, let's run the numbers. Before Disaster Curses, ranked special grades are the top dogs for the first half of Jujutsu Kaisen, consisting of Mahito, Dagon, Hanami and Jogo. They each bring a unique set of skills to the fight that could help them attempt to take down the Restless Gambler. Starting with Dagon, he holds the power over water and a large arsenal of Shikigami. During his time on screen, he was capable of 1 vs 3ing Naobito Zenin, Maki Zenin, and Kento Nanami. Both Nanami and Maki were far inferior to the full power of Dagon, but the important one here is Naobito, who is said to be the fastest sorcerer excluding Gojo. In some translations of the anime, they say that Naobito is the fastest excluding Gojo, but I'd hesitate to actually accept this as true given the strange inconsistencies it brings. For instance, Naobito was comfortably blitzing base Dagon and wasn't having all too much trouble with him in regards to speed, so then it seems strange that the stat sum from Domain is enough for Dagon to suddenly be not only as fast as the fastest sorcerer, but even faster considering he pretty much blitzes Naobito twice in the anime. It makes even less sense when you consider that Dagon thought Naobito was even faster than Jogo, and after seeing Domain Dagon, Naobito thinks Jogo is even stronger than Dagon, which seems super strange given that Dagon is supposed to be blitzing the guy that's faster than Jogo, who's supposed to be even stronger than Dagon. It just doesn't add up. The anime did have production issues and did have to cut some things, but outside of that, the way I would explain it, this whole situation is that either Naobito was simply caught by surprise in these instances where Dagon attacked, denoted by his shocked expression, or that since domains can overpower curse techniques like Gojo's Infinity, Dagon was simply overpowering Naobito's curse technique, rendering him unable to use his speed and thus is actually quite slow in the domain. It's a complicated situation, so interpret it however you personally want, but I don't accept Dagon suddenly being faster than every sorcerer in the series in his domain, especially since he just doesn't have that kind of setup in the manga or the anime. Moving on though, Dagon is capable of using techniques such as Death Swarm to throw an infinite series of Shikigami at an opponent whilst in his domain. In addition, he possesses defensive techniques such as his water barrier, can fly, and can create large pools of water. In this 4v1, Dagon will mostly serve as utility for the Disaster Curses, since his best AP feats are hurting Naobito, who has no durability feats, Nanami, who's around as strong as Start of Shibuya Yuji, and Maki, who's stronger than her Goodwill counterpart, which isn't very strong. As for Hanami, it's not too impressive. Hanami was capable of using domain expansion, but we don't know if it's rule-based or sure hit. In addition, we don't know if it was a complete domain or not. As for Hanami's abilities, she has a pretty good arsenal, capable of growing roots for traversal and attack as well, as growing flowers that can calm an opponent and weaken their intent to kill, as shown with Gojo and Hanami's rescue of Jogo. However, this is only possible thanks to Gojo being unable to use Infinity post-domain. Hanami was also thought by Gojo to be quite good at hiding her presence, meaning the Disaster Curses would have a stealth advantage should they decide to try orchestrating a sneak attack on Hakari. Hanami was also capable of firing seeds that absorb the curse energy of those it hits, growing as it eats. This gives Hanami a good chance of winning a war of attrition against her average opponent. Unfortunately, this is where the positives stop for Hanami. Hanami struggled pretty badly with Goodwill Yuji and Todo. Yuji was empowered by Black Flash, but Hanami even notes that Yuji and Todo's regular punches could hurt her. This is Yuji's first major fight in the series, and is essentially the Zabuza of JJK, the entry-level villain. And it's pretty clear that Goodwill, Yuji, and Todo are nowhere near as strong as their Shibuya selves, or past that. Moving to Jogo then, we can actually get to the heavy hitters of the Disaster Curses. Jogo was capable of instantly defeating Maki, Nanami, and Naobito, with the asterisk that they had just got done fighting Dagon. However, all three considered Dagon to be inferior to Jogo. Jogo is strong, capable of creating volcanoes at a point of his choosing. He has strong ranged options and good area coverage. With his maximum meteor technique, he can also turn an entire town to ash. However, the maximum meteor is pretty slow given that someone like Panda, while being restricted from moving by Sukuna, was still able to dodge it at the last minute. Jogo also possesses a domain, with simply existing inside of it posing a threat thanks to the fires turning the average sorcerer to ash, and the sure hit effects granting maximum meteor the speed it would need to be useful. As for durability, it's not too impressive. Even Hanami was thought to be tougher than him, as Akutami believes that if Jogo had been hit by Goodwill Yuji's Black Flash Rush, he'd have died. AP is where things get debatable, however. Jogo thinks that his maximum meteor is capable of damaging 15 Finger Sukuna, which Sukuna mocks that only if it hit. Many take this to mean that Jogo has 15 finger levels of attack potency, and then use Kenjaku's statement of Jogo being lowball 8 finger level to support this. But these things miss the point, and the point of these exchanges. Sukuna is mocking Jogo, as he has been the entire fight. He notes the moonlight makes it easier to see how pathetic Jogo is, and he's blitzing Jogo, ripping off his jaw pretty comfortably. Jogo can't even land a single hit on him. Sukuna only very rarely compliments someone externally. His praise is almost always left to his internal thoughts, or for when the enemy has been defeated. It's down to how Sukuna approaches Jujutsu and his understanding that your mental state affects your Jujutsu. His mocking is done in an attempt to disrupt his opponent's Jujutsu and weaken their resolve. When he says, if it hit to Jogo, I would doubt that he's even thinking it's possible that it would hit to begin with. He's just saying this to Jogo and making him believe that he was so close to achieving his goal but wasn't good enough to disrupt his mental state, something Sukuna is always shown trying to do. Of course, you could say Jogo's meteor could damage him, but then that begs the question, to what extent? Jogo is basing the idea that he can damage Sukuna on what he can observe from Sukuna, but how do we say that Sukuna is going all out here? He's clearly toying with Jogo, so is Sukuna trying that hard here? Especially when moments later, he gets thrown around by someone he thinks isn't that far from 3 finger level in Maharaga. It's hard to say Sukuna is going full power against Jogo, and it's even harder to say that the meteor would damage 15 fingers at full power. Many would then turn to Jogo being 8 finger level by Kenjaku, but it's very clear Kenjaku was just manipulating Jogo here, trying to get him to fight Gojo. It's clear even from Jogo's own monologue that he knew the difference in their power was big, and he underestimated the vastness between their powers. Jogo was arrogant before facing Gojo, but after Gojo, he becomes much more willing to listen to Kenjaku's plans, likely the intended effect from Kenjaku's gaslighting. None of this is to say, however, that Jogo can't hit hard. He most definitely can hit hard like a truck, and probably has the highest AP of all the disaster curses, but he just isn't 15 finger levels of hitting hard, which leaves us to the last disaster curse, Mahito. I've talked about Mahito a billion times on the channel, so I'll leave things brief, but essentially Mahito is capable of killing Gundamaru, special grade level of firepower, and is roughly as strong as End of Shibuya Yuji. Mahito rapidly grows stronger and is arguably the strongest disaster curse, with Jogo placing Mahito as the leader of their group thanks to his insane rate of growth. Mahito can manipulate the soul and change its shape into whatever he sees fit. He is also capable of creating goon squads which have explosive power but are easily one-shot by Todo and Yuji. In addition, Mahito has his true form, which increases his power by 200%. He also possesses a domain expansion, which creates infinite hands and is capable of touching your soul at all times while you are in it. A big question in the community is if you can use reverse curse technique on the soul. I spent quite a lot of time researching this, and while the answer can still be considered vague, I would conclude on yes, you can. During Yuji's first encounter with Mahito and the death of Junpei, Yuji begs Sukuna to heal Junpei, to which Sukuna declines, which makes Mahito wonder why, and he clearly states that it's not like Sukuna can't heal Junpei with RCT, so he wonders if Sukuna can't heal other people. This is very clearly, in my opinion, a definitive statement that Mahito, the expert on souls, is aware that reverse curse technique can heal the soul, which would render his curse technique useless against someone like Sukuna or Gojo, since they could just heal through his main method of attack. Assuming you made the stats fair. Mahito saying here that you can use reverse curse technique on the soul is a big win for Hakari, and is not a good sign for Mahito. So I just spent quite a while hyping up the disaster curses, so can they beat the Restless Gambler? Absolutely not. Hakari is out of the disaster curses league, and here's why. Starting with speed, Hakari is capable of keeping up with and dodging Kashimo and his lightning. Dodging his lightning at face value is already more impressive than anything the disaster curses have done, but for a number, it comes out to around 4,760 times the speed of sound, a feat none of the other disaster curses have. When it comes to attack potency, Hakari is capable of damaging Yuji Itadori's body, which has been complemented numerous times for its incredible durability by the likes of Kenjaku. He's also capable of damaging base Kashimo, who's thought by Kenjaku to be a good match for Ryu Ishigori, the incarnated sorcerer who possesses the highest output of the Sendai region, can hurt Yuta Akatsu, a special grade sorcerer who's so tough Ryu thinks hitting him is like punching a giant tank of water. Yuta was also strong enough to nuke the entire Tokyo school in Volume 0, this Yuta being much stronger than his Volume 0 self. Kashima being compared to Ryu is especially impressive when Sukuna thought it was quite impressive that Ryu was able to survive his initial slashes. Although Sukuna was holding back, getting him to comment on your strength at all is already an accomplishment, and with Kashima being doubtful that Ryu is even that strong to begin with, and Hakari being about as strong as base Kashima, it shows just how strong Hakari's punches should be. Yuta also seems to think Hakari and Jackpot are stronger than himself, but I'll leave it up to you if you agree or disagree. When it comes down to it, the disaster curses have no way of actually killing Hakari. Mahito agreeing you can RCT the soul means that he has no way to actually get past Hakari's regeneration, as he could just out-heal Kashimo trying to detonate his skull with cursed energy, even ejecting the foreign chi out of his body. This isn't even factoring in that Nanami was capable of subconsciously defending his soul with cursed energy. Hakari, possessing so much cursed energy that he's forced to heal himself or be crushed under his own power, should mean that he can subconsciously defend himself as well. So, even if Mahito can get close enough to manipulate his soul, Hakari can probably block it with his immense output, which could stop Kashima's curse trait and his infinite volume. Hakari is without question obliterating Hanami and Dagon instantly in the fight. Hanami, being a goodwill level threat, dies as soon as the fight starts, and Dagon, only having anything even remotely good in his domain expansion, means he probably dies before even getting to open it, which leaves Jogo and Mahito. The only hope of the disaster curses is to use domain expansion. However, it's already been stated that the activation of Hakari's domain is faster than a Black Flash and Mahito's domain expansion. Hakari's domain is so fast in fact that Kashima couldn't even activate Hollow Wicker Basket in time to block it. It essentially blitzed him. With this in mind, even if Mahito or Jogo or any of the disaster curses tried to expand a domain, in response it would be pointless, since the sure hit effect of Hakari's domain would have already hit them, and the jackpot would start rolling, and once he hits jackpot, he can almost definitely kill both of them before they can activate their domains or curse techniques, or at the very least, injure them to the point where they can't maintain a domain. And since Hakari has essentially infinite stamina, it's almost impossible to win a war of attrition against him. Mahito would eventually run out of curse energy and die. Jogo would have no way of killing Hakari at all. You can even go as far as to say that Hakari can probably outpace the damage of their domains with his regeneration, since while on a roll, Yuta considers Hakari stronger than him, and Yuta has a domain expansion, which means that Yuta probably doesn't think his domain can put down Jackpot Hakari, or at least it's not stronger than Hakari spamming jackpots, which means Hakari can spam jackpots against Yuta, which means his domain can't stop Hakari. Of course, you can deny that if you think Yuta is stronger than Hakari, but it's just food for thought. At the beginning of this video, I asked, what are the chances of the disaster curses beating Hakari? And I think we can agree, it's a 1 in a million chance. Thank you all for watching. My name has been Cursed Valor, also known as Kai, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more. I hope you have a wonderful day.